8 dead but hundreds saved as the Greek ferry rescue finally ends. Among those evacuated from the burning ship in gale force winds are 6 Britons. A criminal investigation has begun. Also tonight, drama at Gatwick as a Virgin Jumbo carries out an emergency landing with a faulty undercarriage. And unions blame CityLink owners of horrific mismanagement as thousands of jobs go.
This is ITV News with Mark Austin.
Good evening. It was long, painstaking and dangerous, but tonight the operation to rescue hundreds of passengers from a burning Greek ferry is finally over. 8 people are now known to have died. 6 Britons on board are all thought to have been rescued. They include Nick Channing-Williams, whose mother told ITV News today of the moment she heard her son was safe. From the Italian port of Bari, Neil Connery has this report.
Airlifted to safety from the burning ferry below, one by one, passengers are winched on board this Italian Navy helicopter after spending 24 hours on the ship which caught fire off Corfu. All the surviving passengers have now been rescued. Among them, British show jumper Nicholas Channing-Williams, who, although covered in soot, was clearly relieved to be saved. His mother told ITV News she feared for his life.
It just went really from bad to worse, really, because it just got worse and worse and worse. And I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know how they were going to get them off because they said the weather was too bad. They couldn't get in close enough. They couldn't use the helicopters. And then there was films of all the fire. It was very, very scary.
The Foreign Office say they're working closely with Italian authorities to check on the safety and welfare of the British passengers on board. The captain was the final person to be rescued 36 hours after the ship got into trouble. The Norman Atlantic was heading up the Adriatic Sea from the port of Patras in Greece to Ancona on the east coast of Italy when it sent out a distress call on Sunday after fire broke out on the car deck. Some hours later, the Italian captain told rescuers he could no longer steer the vessel. Italy and Greece sent Navy and Coast Guard vessels and helicopters, while nearby merchant ships lined up to form a barrier to protect the ferry from towering waves. It's still unclear what caused the fire to break out on the car deck of the ferry, but it's now been confirmed that at least 8 people have lost their lives. Many more are being treated in hospitals, some suffering from hypothermia. Almost 500 people had been on board the ferry. Italian prosecutors have now begun a criminal investigation. They say they will investigate whether negligence has played a role.
And Neil joins us live now from Bari. And Neil, there must be huge relief there that this rescue operation is finally over tonight.
Well, a huge sense of relief that this rescue operation has delivered in the way that it has, given how long and complex it has been and the atrocious weather conditions that the rescue teams have been facing. As you say, for the survivors who've been brought ashore, though, that news has been tempered, I think, in the last few hours as the death toll has risen up to 8 now confirmed dead. For the survivors ashore here in Bari, they've been taken to hospitals being treated for smoke inhalation and the effects of hypothermia, and a chance to contact relatives who've been watching these events unfold from far away. While all of that goes on, it's emerged that the Greek authorities held an inspection on this ship 2 weeks ago, and there were concerns, we understand, raised to do with the fire safety doors and evacuation drill procedures on that vessel. Did they play any part in what has happened here? That is now clearly part of the inquiry underway. But relief here, and no doubt the thoughts and prayers of the survivors with the families of those who've lost their lives.
All right, Neil, thank you very much indeed. The head of Indonesia's search and rescue agency says the missing AirAsia plane is probably at the bottom of the sea. There's been no confirmed sighting yet of any debris from the aircraft, and the search will resume at daybreak. The plane, carrying 162 people, was heading to Singapore. It disappeared from radar screens shortly after the pilot sought permission to change course to avoid bad weather. A jumbo jet pilot is being hailed a hero tonight after safely bringing down a plane with faulty landing gear at Gatwick Airport. The Virgin Atlantic aircraft, destined for Las Vegas, had more than 400 passengers on board. All flights in and out of Gatwick were suspended as the emergency landing took place. And as Sejal Carrier reports, the airport remains closed tonight.
At just after 4 this afternoon, the faulty Virgin Atlantic plane had a bumpy but successful landing at Gatwick Airport. This amateur footage captured the moment it touched down. Carrying up to 400 passengers, it had been on its way to America when it developed a fault on its undercarriage shortly after takeoff and was forced to return. On board, passengers were asked to adopt the crash position as it came into land. Charlotte Jackson was travelling on the plane and told ITV News there was a sense of panic on board.
As we were circling Gatwick, there was a bang, and we were told that the hydraulics on one side of the plane hadn't worked. We were told that the pilot was trying to dislodge the hydraulic cover for one of the set of wheels. So we had to he took us up and down and from side to side. That was a bit where everyone was freaking out, and the pilot eventually brought us into land safely and smoothly, and got a well-deserved round of applause.
Dozens of emergency vehicles surrounded the plane as it came down, and queues of coaches were arriving to take passengers to a nearby hotel. Flight VS43 had left Gatwick bound for Las Vegas at around 11:45 this morning. But soon after takeoff, eyewitnesses reported that one of the 5 landing gears on the aircraft had failed after a set of wheels refused to drop, and the plane was forced to return to Gatwick, circling repeatedly, apparently dumping fuel before landing. Much to the relief of passengers. Sejal Carrier, ITV News.
And some breaking news. And in the last few minutes, doctors have confirmed a case of Ebola has been diagnosed in Glasgow. The patient, a health worker returning from Sierra Leone, has been isolated and is receiving treatment at the Gart Naval Hospital campus. The Scottish First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, has chaired a meeting with health officials and has been in touch with David Cameron. We'll have more on this on the ITV News at 10. Now, there's more instability in Greece tonight after the Prime Minister was forced to call a snap election. The Athens stock market fell by 10% after MPs failed to agree on a new president. Markets fear a new left-wing government would seek to renegotiate the terms of the country's bailout programme. And here, the boss of Network Rail will lose most of his annual bonus after engineering works caused travel chaos for thousands of passengers yesterday. But Mark Khan could still take home a £30,000 bonus, around 5% of his salary. Now, it's been confirmed that most of the nearly 3,000 workers at the parcel delivery firm CityLink will lose their jobs on New Year's Eve. The workforce returned to depots across the country this morning, only to be told of the news. Union leaders today accused the company of an horrific catalogue of mismanagement. This report from our political correspondent, Carl Dinnan.
CityLink delivered a devastating blow to many of its workers and contractors today. As customers were picking up the last few parcels from CityLink depots, staff were picking up bad news.
Everyone's gutted in there. Lost our jobs.
Got no jobs, simple as that.
I'm just gutted. I enjoyed this place. I thought they were a good management. They sold us down the road good and proper.
Contractors found they'd lost thousands.
Up near close to the 100,000 mark, I'd say. So my house will be on the line and not looking great.
CityLink owner John Moulton said, "We're very sorry about the failure of CityLink and we're very sorry about the horrible effects that follow for the workforce and contractors. I'm afraid that is the result of the company failing, nothing more and nothing less. The company was not viable." But the timing of CityLink's collapse has provoked political condemnation.
There has to have been a better way of doing this than most of them learning of the fact through watching the television on Christmas Day when they were with their families. I mean, this is just disastrous for so many people, but the manner in which they've learned of the fate of their company, honestly, there's got to be a better way of doing this.
And this evening, one CityLink employee told ITV News by text they'd been warned not to talk to journalists. "We have been silenced by the company," they said. Silenced as in forbidden to talk to media. I could lose any wages owed and potentially more. Tonight, administrators say there had been no threat to remove wages from employees. Unions are blaming management at CityLink for running the company into the ground and are calling for the government to intervene, even to nationalise CityLink. But the truth is this company has been in trouble for some time and now appears to have reached the end of the road. Carl Dinnan, ITV News at CityLink in central London.
And finally, Debbie Purdy, who campaigned to change the law on assisted suicide, has died at the age of 51. Her tireless campaign work led to the government issuing new clarifying guidelines on assisted dying back in 2009. She spent the last year in the Marie Curie Hospice in Bradford, where she was being treated for multiple sclerosis. In a statement, her husband paid tribute to a much-loved wife, sister, aunt and friend. And that is the news so far tonight. I'm back with a late bulletin at 10. Until then, have a very good evening.